we're going to get into this. And if you look up there at the slide, you see a big giant rock. And what God spoke into my heart yesterday was its final destination. You know, where we start out sometimes in life is not where we thought that we should end up or where that we should be. And but anyway, with that in mind, you'll get the idea of this picture, and it will start to make sense here in a minute. But let's go ahead and stand for the reading of the Word this morning to honor it. And it's going to be first scripture in Proverbs 16 and 3. Are we there yet? I hear the pages rustling. Amen. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. Go ahead and be reseated. You know, and as I was looking at this today, what I want us to look at is the word commit. Because it is a pretty unique word, and there's only a few times in the Old Testament that it was used and translated as commit. Most often, it was translated as roll. And so the word that we see in Hebrew there is gotta roll. Gotta roll. Or gotta lay. I'm sorry. Gotta lay. And the word there means to roll upon. And it gives the idea of a stone rolling down a hill. And so, I don't know, I just seem to be a pretty simple country boy sometimes. And I was sitting here thinking, how does rolling, and why was this word, gale, used in the Old Testament to roll? Because they used it to roll back the lid of a well. They used it for rolling a stone, like upon Jesus' grave, the roll of the stone upon there. That was the idea and the way that they used this. So I started to dig, and then I started to see that of how that they got this word to roll, to mean roll. And if they were in battle and they were on top of a hill, they would get large boulders and they would line them up on the top of the mountain or on top of the hill. And then they would release that boulder upon that hill, and it would roll down that hill, and it would remove anything that it was in its path. It was committed to finding its place at the bottom of that hill. No matter what kind of adversity, no matter what kind of things or object that got in its way, the bigger the boulder, the bigger the object that it would go over to find its destiny at the bottom. As soon as that boulder was released from the top of that mountain, it didn't matter if there was opposing armies or forces or anything else that was in its way. It was committed to finding its destiny at the bottom. I thought, that's starting to make sense now. So if the word there, commit, means to roll, it also means that no matter what comes in our way, when he was saying, commit yourself to the Lord, commit your works to the Lord, what I was saying was, if there are things in your life that rises up and gets in the way, you need to roll on past them. You need to be committed to the destiny that God has called you in your work with Him, and push through whatever is in your way. So often as I was thinking about this, and thinking about the modern day churches, is that we're not committed in our lives. We're the farthest thing from being committed to God and His plan and purpose in our lives. You know, just like that big boulder as it runs down that hill, if there is something in there, if there's trees, if there's other rocks, it will smash them, it will plow them out of the way, because there is a force behind it that is great, pushing that thing all the way to the bottom. Gravity is the force that is driving that boulder to the bottom to find it. And so with us, If we get behind Jesus Christ and we're committed to Him, no matter what comes in our way, we will either bounce over it or bounce around it or bounce through it. But it will not slow us down or keep us from what God is calling us to do in our lives. We look at it right here in 1 Peter 5 and 7. And we see this right here where Peter says, "Cast your cares upon Him, for He careth for you." Now, when I was studying this out, Peter was actually referring back to the Greek word Galilee when he said cast. Because, see, the Greek word that he was using here is epitia latrio. And what it means is to cast or to sling off violently. So what he was saying was referring back, that he was quoting the Scriptures and was quoting the words out of Psalms and out of Proverbs here about committing yourself to the Lord. So what he was saying is, if you will sling the troubles of this world off of you and dedicate your life to Jesus Christ, nothing will be able to stop you in your life. If you will cast all of your cares on Him because He cares for you, He wants you to fulfill the destiny and the call in your life. But as long as we're living a half-committed life to Him, we'll always have obstacles flying up in the middle of our lives, keeping us and delaying us from finding our purpose. And I started thinking about this. We start to look about commitment in our lives. God created us to be committed to Him. God created us to be committed to Him, in Him, and through Him. We are designed specifically for the Spirit of God to be committed to us and us to be committed to Him. It fits perfectly. And when we line up and we find that relationship, all harmony starts to come in to play in our life. But until then, we are not fulfilling our design in our life. The purpose for us is void. And so I started to thinking about this, and I started to think about kids. I started to think about my life growing up in school. The first thing that we want to do is we want to create friends. That we want to have friends, we want to have these relationships, we start building these things. And the more that I was thinking about this, getting a revelation, that's why VBS was so important. Is taking the young lives, the young children that are out there, and drawing them into Jesus and opening up a door and an avenue for them to create and commitment to the Lord at a young age. Because if you don't start training your children to find their commitment to the Lord at a young age, they'll start growing up and they'll start looking for it in other people. They'll look for it in friends, and when friends don't anymore, they'll start looking for it in relationship. And they'll go from relationship to relationship to relationship, looking for that void to be fit in their life. Struggling their whole life to fill that void there for that commitment that He created us for. And if let's just say that we get to a point that we find someone that we feel like we could commit to, in a relationship, and we're in that relationship with them, we still feel void in our life. Even if we get to a point that we can tolerate them and live with them, then we get to a place that there's still something missing and it still ain't clicking right. So we turn to adrenaline, to rushes. Because I want to tell you something, when you commit to the Lord, there is adrenaline, a rush that is released inside of you that no drug or alcohol or relationship can ever feel in your life. And when we commit to that, but until then, our bodies, we don't know what we're missing, so we're still striving to fill it. And so therefore we get tied up in hobbies. I know people that are passionate about hobbies, and they're always driving and looking for that thrill of that hobby, whether it's hunting or fishing or whatever it is. Sports. They get tied up in sports because there is an adrenaline rush that is the excitement about the sport, the activity of it, the competition of it. And when that gets to where it ain't doing what it needs to be doing in our life, we'll turn to drugs. We'll turn to something else to try to stimulate us to fill the void in our lives because we're missing the area of commitment that God has created us for. And that's why we see in Proverbs 16:3, again looking at that, it says, commit thy works. That's your doings, your physical doings unto the Lord, and your thoughts shall be established. Now that word thought right there is also translated into purpose and plan. Boy, I thought, boy, ain't that right. When we fully commit to God and we just say, God, I'm just going to work for you. I'm going to love you. I'm going to just, whatever it is in my life, I'm going to give it to you and you only. All of a sudden, there is our purpose is revealed to us. We know that we were created for Him and to Him to praise Him. And we know the plan there. There is all automatically a fulfilling inside of us that is connected and we feel complete. We don't need drugs or sports or relationships or hobbies to make us happy anymore because God is making us happy. God is the joy in our life. He is the peace in our life that drives us day in and day out. Now I'm going to tell you, there's very few people that love to fish more than I do. And I don't like to just fish, I like to fly fish. And I can get out there and I can take that old fly rod and I can sling that thing all day long until my arm feels like it's about numb and going to fall off. But I do it because of the anticipation, the thrill of that trout rising up and hitting that thing and the fight's on. I mean, there is nothing like getting a 6 or 7 pound trout that is about 23, 24 inches long, hooked on the end of that thing, and you got less than 2 pound test on the end of it. Amen. That's fun. But I tell you, when we got to go to Colorado, I got to go do that. But I'm going to tell you, that was the first time since my birthday in 2012 that I got to go fly fishing. Because I don't care about fishing. Yes, it is fun. Yes, I enjoy doing it. But I tell you, I'd much rather be committed to Jesus Christ and what He'd have me to do than any hobby or anything in my life, anything that I used to do in my life. Now, I'm not saying that God wants us to give up everything in our lives for Him, but what I am saying, He wants you to be committed to Him more than anything else in your life. And when you are, then when He does bless you with opportunities, it gets fun. Even more fun than what it was to begin with. But the whole time, that if we do not fail to commit to God, we stay lost and we stay struggling. And why? Because the devil does not want you to get into a place of commitment with Jesus Christ. But I'm going to tell you, he is absolutely terrified of you when you get committed to Jesus Christ. He is terrified of the potential that you have in your life when you fully commit to Jesus Christ. When you commit to doing and working for Him more than any other, Satan knows that there is a force, there is a power that is inside of you that is released, that he or none of hell can stop in your life. Just like that big boulder rolling down the hill, Satan knows that once that you line up and connect with Jesus Christ in your life, that nothing can stop you in your life. 1 John 4:4, it says, ye are of God, little children, and ye have overcome them. Now I'm going to tell you, last night I didn't see this, and I stayed up to about 12:30 working on this, and got up this morning and started in again on it. And I did not see this. None of the other day when I was working on it, none of yesterday when I was working on it, but something happened this morning. And the word them just stuck out to me. I don't know, have you ever noticed this? And it says, and that little children, ye have overcome them. He did not say you have overcome him, meaning one, but he said them. And so as I was doing this morning and thinking about this and praying over it, God revealed to me that greater is He that is in you than all of the demonic forces that are out there. Not just Satan, but all the demons in hell. There is a greater power that is inside of you when you commit to the call of God on your life. When you commit to that relationship with Him, there is nothing out there that can hold you back. Boy, I tell you, I started to have a shouting match this morning in my prayer closet because I had a realization that it's them. You know, there's all kinds of forces that is working against us. There is family forces that's working against us. There is job forces working against us. There is all kinds of forces that are working against us. There's all kinds of them that are out there trying to overtake us. But when we commit to God, none of them compare. None of them compare. Because greater is He that is in me. Boy, I tell you, I started getting a realization of it because sometimes we're under so many demonic attacks in our life, we don't know where to go run or sick them. Amen. The enemy is driving us and chasing us, and there's so much mental torment in our lives that we are just absolutely nearly paralyzed. Because the enemy is attacking us from every direction. And there's been many times that I have studied out Paul's life and all of the things that he had went through in his life, all the challenges that he had went through in his life. And in Corinthians, he starts listing them, where he was, struck and beat beyond measure, where he was, whipped with a whip 5 times from his own brothers, his own Jewish people. He was rotted in the feet. He said that he was shipwrecked 3 times. He said that at once he was treaded water in day and night. And then it goes on. And I've studied this and looked at it many times, but I started looking at this Thursday when I started counting. 16 times does he say in perils, in perilous waters, with the Gentiles, in perils of Gentiles, in perils of robbers, in perils of lack of sleep, in perils of lack of food, in perils of this, and in perils of that, and in perils of this. 16 times, and that word perils right there in the Greek means with extreme dangers. So Paul was all the time in his life, in some way, some form, some shape, the enemy was attacking him from every direction in his life. But he was driven, he was committed to Jesus Christ, to fulfilling the call in his life, and nothing could set him back or stop him. He said, I don't care how extreme that it looked like out there. I don't care what it felt like out there. I know that Jesus Christ was going to get me through it. Mark 9:23, it says, Jesus said unto him, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believe. We look at this as believing as in faith, right? So whoever can believe, whoever has the faith, all things are possible. Hebrews 11:6, it says, but without faith it is impossible to please God. So what do you think the devil is doing in your life through all the attacks, through all the perilous troubles in your life, through all the extreme dangers, through all the turmoils? He is trying to attack your faith. He is trying to attack your belief, your confidence, your trust in God, so you won't be fully committed to Him. If you're committed to handling and dealing with all the troubles in your life, you're not fully committed in dealing with whatever God has called you to do. And that's exactly what the enemy wants to do in your life. He wants to get you to a point that he keeps you from being 100% committed in your life. And that way that you are containable. Because as long as you're containable, the devil can deal with you. He'd rather have you sitting in a church doing nothing if he can't have you out in a ditch in a wreck. When I started to thinking about this, and we look at Timothy, of why that Satan was 100% terrified of Paul. 2 Timothy 1 and 12, it says, "For this cause," or which cause, "I also suffer these things." Now what he was saying was that he is saying, for this very reason is why all these demonic attacks come in my life. See, Paul had a revelation. He understood that being a servant of Christ wasn't easy. Now, I'm going to tell you, my mom come in and she told me first thing and she said, "I want to tell you, little Lindsay, she had a fight to get here this morning." First of all, she set her alarm clock last night and it didn't go off. And then when it did go off, or when she did get up, she went in there and guess what? Trying to arrange the ride because she wanted to come to church today and trying to juggle all that, her water heater blew up overnight. And so her whole house was flooded. And everything in there was all nasty and destroyed. So, she thought, and she told my mom, she said, when she went to pick her up, she said, "I thought about just not going. And then I thought, no, this is still going to be here when I get home. Amen. I'm going to go." See, there is some commitment. How many of us would have already looked at this and said, "Oh my gosh, I got this mess in my life. I need to clean it up." But I'm going to tell you, the devil is always going to be putting messes in your life, and there will always be time to clean up the messes. But the hour that God is working in your life is right now. Right now, you need to seize the opportunity in your life, because they're always, just like she's saying, it'll be there when I get home. The messes in your life will always be there in your life, but you need to be focused on your relationship and your commitment with Jesus Christ. Just as David was saying earlier, and I picked on him in the first service, because he said, I want more than just rearranging my life for Jesus and church. I want to be on fire. I want to be passionate. And I'm going to tell you, that's where the devil comes in our lives so often, as he works to get us distracted with all of these sufferings, all of these trials in our lives. But Paul said, "Nevertheless, I am not ashamed." And that word ashamed right there also translates back to fear, being paralyzed. How many times has shame come into your life and paralyzed you from stepping out and doing what God has wanted you to do? The devil's God is telling you to get up and go do something, and then you draw back in shame and you go, I don't know. They'll think I'm crazy. They'll think I'm nuts. I better not say that. I don't know. Boy, I tell you, one of the hardest things that I done one time, and I just broke out of that shell there, was we were in Central Mall and there in Fort Smith, and the kids and Jana was out and they were shopping back and forth, and I was there by the food court, and I just found that bench and I just sat down right there. I was just going to camp out, and that's where I was going to be, and I was just going to wait for them to circle back around. And about that time, I seen a young woman just running out of the store, and she was just hollering, and all of a sudden there was other family members that started falling in behind her, and she was carrying this little girl. And this little girl's nose was just gushing the blood. She was just, leaving literally a splattered trail all the way. And this parent, I don't know, she had some rags, she had some stuff, and she was you could tell that this child's nose has been bleeding for a while. And this mama was getting concerned. It wasn't just like a little bloody nose that you may get it when you get hit in the nose or something like that, or even so much of having like allergies. So there was something that was causing this kid to look like faucets of blood just turned on in her nose. And they were Hispanic, and they were speaking Spanish, and all of a sudden all these other family members started coming around, and they were all gathered around this child, and they were running and grabbing things and trying to put it on her face, trying to do something. And I could tell that they were looking around in a state of panic as they were doing this. And God told me, He said, "Get up and go pray for that child." Amen. He was like, "Woo! Satan, I rebuke you from trying to make me a fool in front of all these people." Right? How many of us ever been in that situation? Satan, I rebuke you because you ain't making a fool out of me. But I sat there and I watched them, and then the Spirit of God, He started working on me more and more and more. And I thought, well, God, they don't even speak English. How are they even going to know? I mean, how are they even going to know what I'm trying to tell them? And I don't know a whole lot of Spanish. In fact, I know like none. And so that I went over there, and I looked at the lady, and I stood over there, and the only thing that I knew was Padre, preacher, pastor. So I said, Padre, pray. And she turned around, and she was tears in her eyes, and she just threw that kid in my arms. And she started shaking her head. There was no need for any other language that there was needed there. And so I started to pray for that child, and I started to intercede for that child right there in the middle of Central Mall. I didn't care, but I stepped out, and I was not going to let Satan make me ashamed to do and paralyze me in fear for what God was working in my life to do. But how often does the devil give victory in our life for making us ashamed? And that's what Paul was talking about here. He said, I am not going to be set back in fear and be ashamed of the gospel. If it makes me making a fool out of myself, then I'll be a fool for Christ. I am going to be fully committed to Him, His plan and purpose in my life. And no matter what gets in my life, I know that what the vision He's given me, that God will commit me to seeing it all the way to the end. Amen. We have to know. We have to know within a shadow of a doubt when we commit ourselves to God that no matter what it calls us to do, that He is able to make sure that it is done and fulfilled in our life. When we fully commit to Jesus Christ and His will and His purpose in our life, it does not matter. It's no longer our responsibility to worry about being able to do it anymore. Do you understand that? Because I hear all kinds of people say, well, I don't know if I can do that. I just don't know if that's possible. I don't know. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Once you commit your life to Jesus Christ, it is no longer your responsibility to figure out how to do it or have the ability to do it. It's God's responsibility to figure out how to make sure that it's done and that you have the tools and the capacity to do it. It's no longer up to you. It's up to God. And just like that boulder rolling down the hill, there is a force of gravity that got behind it. There is a force that will get behind you, and it's called the power of the Holy Ghost. It will get behind you, and any kind of demon or obstacle that rises up in your way, the Spirit will plow it right down. It is not your responsibility to figure it out or to take care of it or do it. The more that I serve this life with Christ, the more that I realize that. I'm telling you, 5.5 years ago, I wouldn't have thought any of this was possible. I just know that God had placed a burden and a call in my life, and I knew that I couldn't sit and be where I was anymore, that I had to step out and do something. And I didn't know, but I just said, God, I don't know what this looks like. I don't know how to do it. I never had any skills or any training. I just know that it's you that's calling me to do it. Now it's your responsibility to do it. I fulfilled my part. I remember the morning that I committed my life to Him and His plan and purpose instead of my own. I was getting ready for work, and I just come out of my prayer closet, and I was fixing to go get in the shower. And just all of a sudden, there felt like this heavy veil that fell on me. And I couldn't hardly breathe. And I literally fell in the bathroom floor. And I just started weeping. And I just started crying. And I said, all right, God, I'll do it. I'll do it, God, whatever, I'll do it. And He said, do what? God's got a sense of humor. It's like, I'll do it. He said, what? I said, I'll pastor. And all of a sudden, that veil was just like pulled. It was just like when you're in the wintertime and you got your head underneath the blankets and you're breathing out hot air and you pull it out. All of a sudden, I could feel the cool air filling my lungs again. I could feel the life coming back in me and the strength rising me up. And I knew from that moment that it was no longer my responsibility, but it was God's responsibility as long as I stepped up and done what He had me to do. First church service, we had a few borrowed chairs in a living room. Yep. And God has done the rest. I take no credit for anything that God has done because it's been His driving force that is going before me, making sure the enemy is plowed out of the way, making sure that everywhere that I need to hit the mark, that I'm hitting the mark, because it's no longer I that liveth, but Christ that liveth within me. And when I get off track, His Spirit still leads me through His destiny, driving me. There may be something that rises up in that boulder's path, and it may hit it and deter it, but I want to tell you what, it can't stop it. It may knock it off a little bit, but it's going to find where it's going. And that's the way with us in our lives. There may be something that pops up, and it may hit us, and we may stagger a little bit, but we need to be committed to finding our purpose and our plan in Jesus Christ. Matthew 24:13. It says, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Endure is hupomeno. And it means to stay fixed or established. This is primarily a military term. To remain or to stay under the commanding authority. Let's think about that for a second. If we want to see the victory in our life, then we need to stay underneath the commanding authority of Jesus Christ in our life. We wonder why we don't have victory in our life. We wonder why when we're calling out in the midnight hour and it doesn't seem like God is there working in our lives. Have you stayed underneath the commanding authority of Jesus Christ? Or are you out there somewhere in left field? Or are you there working where God has called you? If you're underneath Jesus Christ's commanding authority, then there's nothing that will keep you from your victory in your life. There's nothing to slow you down or run you off track. We need to be committed and staying underneath Jesus' commanding authority. So many of us has gotten to where that we boast on small victories. And I could tell because in the first service, I'm glad there wasn't a whole lot of women here with purses. Because they probably had rocks in it and they'd have started throwing. But see, here's the thing. We are so happy in our life with celebrating a small victory. And I mean a small victory of coming in our life and giving our heart to Christ and sitting on a pew. That's a small victory. Because God has so much bigger plans for you in your life. And then He has not called you to a small victory of getting saved and filling a pew and becoming that dead weight. He has called you to be a mountain climber. He has called you to be victorious in your life. He has called you to be free in your life and to set the example for others to be free. But yet we're so busy celebrating that we was able to rearrange a few things in our life to sit on a pew. And yet, there is a lost and dying world that is out there for us that we need to be reaching with a destiny for Christ to drive them in and to bring them in. Colossians 21:29. Whereunto I also labor, striving according to His working. What he was saying was, I am working harder than anybody else. I am committed and I'm striving and I'm dedicated. But here's why. Which worketh in me mightily. That word mightily is dunamis. It's where we get the English word for dynamite. And I'm going to tell you right now, and in what I told them, there was about 30 or 35 people in the first service, and you look around, and one stick of dynamite, 1 pound stick of dynamite, there is more power in that one stick than what that container can hold. Don't believe me? Light it. You'll find out. That power in that one stick of dynamite is more than what that force can handle that's just wrapped up in. And so you look at all of us right here, and you see about 40, 50 people that was here, and then you take all of us, if every one of us has that force, that dunamis force that is inside of us, working mightily inside of us, you put us together corporately, I guarantee you about 40 or 50 pounds of dynamite will level this building. And take it to rubble. I know, I've seen about 30 pounds go off before. It's a sight to behold. But I'm going to tell you, if we look at us and our lives and we compare it to the power of creation that is inside of us, what are we achieving? Because see, God took one man, that one man took 12, and they literally turned the world upside down. They literally exploded all across the world. So why, if we have that same authority, that same power inside of us, why can't us 50 or 60 or 70 turn this town upside down? Why can't we not turn this community, this city, this county, this state upside down with the power that is in us? Is it because that we're struggling with all the other commitments around us and not being fully committed to achieving what God has released inside of us? Proverbs 10:4, as I'm putting an end to this, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich. What he was saying there in Proverbs is the person that is out there working the hardest, God is going to bless the most. If you need some blessings in your life, then go out and work through the Spirit of God, and He will bless you mightily in your life. As we put a close to this, 2 Corinthians 5:10. For we must all appear before judgment seat of Christ. Now, when I was studying this out several times in the New Testament, it refers to this, and Paul does it in several places. This is not talking about the white throne judgment where sinners and the unjust and the unrighteous will stand before God and take an account. This is us as Christians standing before Jesus, being measured up. We will take and we will stand before Jesus Christ, and He will look in our lives and He will say, here is what I called you to do, and here's the ability that I give you to do it. How do you measure up? How do you measure up? I give you the whole power of creation to change the world around you. How did you do? You know, all around us, there is a calling there and a work and a plan and a purpose for us. I'm going to tell you, we have family members that we need to be diligently working with. We have co-workers we need to be diligently working with. We have neighbors that we need to be diligently working with. You may need to be working on somebody that you're sitting beside in church today. There is a plan and purpose and a calling that is on your life, and you need to be reaching up to the potential that God has put in you, achieving the works there. The work that you may be needing to be working on with Christ may be closer to you than what you think. But as long as that we're distracted by all of these other elements in our lives, we will not be like that rock committed to the bottom. We will not be like the rock driving, finding our place in the destiny that God has called us to. We'll still be sitting on the top of the hill bragging about some of the small achievements instead of fulfilling greater ones. Because I'm going to tell you, salvation is the best miracle that ever was. But I'm going to tell you, if Paul would have stopped at salvation, where would we be? He knew that there was a greater plan and purpose in his life than just salvation.